Please, welcome.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? It's fine? Yeah. Okay, so I'm Pablo Ruiz. I'm a professor at the University of Chile. I work in environmental health. This is Daniela Pinto, a student of us that is working in environmental health too. First of all, I want to thank Rick and the university for inviting us. I mean, we have them last year in University of Chile, and now we're coming here. We are very happy. And we're going to talk a little bit about informal waste recycling in Chile. I will give a brief overview, kind of like how is Chile looking like economically, and then we will present some of the things that we have been doing in Chile regarding recycling. So first of all, Chile is a very long country in Latin America. To the west to the east we have the mountains, and to the west we have the ocean. We have many different climates. As you can see, in the north we have like the desert. In the central side part we have like the valleys for agriculture that we have like more usually seen. To the south we have like the forest, and to the extreme south we have Patagonia. And the economy we are majorly like primary producers of products. And we have like mining is our first income. We have copper mining, we have fisheries, we have forestry, and we have agriculture. And maybe you have heard about the nice Chilean wines, that we produce, that we are even, in one of the teams of world teams in soccer. A little about the economy. From 1973 to 1990, we have a dictatorship of Augusto Pinochet, and that changed the political, economical. We have a very liberal policies, where we have a very private privatization of the economy, privatization of the companies, and we have a lot of the models of Milton Friedman that maybe like the Chicago Boys. And from 1991 to now, we have a democratic governments that have been center-left or right-wing, but we have kept the market social economy kind of very similar of what the Chicago Boys did. For instance, we have the Presidente Lagos that was a socialist president, but basically started the privatization of the education in Chile and expansion of the private universities, particularly with the Laureates Corporation from United States. And now we have re-elected again a multimillionaire that is Sebastián Piñera, that is kind of our Chilean Donald Trump. This what have happened with these liberal economical policies is that the income in Chile, the gross domestic product, have been going up much higher than the rest of Latin America. Yes, so from 2010 we entered the OECD. From 2013, Chile was declared a high-income country by the World Bank, and we have $13,000 per capita in 2016. So, are we very happy with this income? Are we a happy family, like the picture here? This is a typical publicity in Chile that we all want to be like blondes and Europeans. So that's not the whole truth. Basically, we have a very unequal country. We have a Gini of almost 0.5 that put us as the highest Gini and more unequal country in all the OCDE. Yes, so we can see these inequalities. It's just likely that our friends from Michigan could see it when we were in Chile. We can have like Manhattan, that is like very first world developed country with all the luxuries and things that you can find. Next to, we still have a lot of these situations like shanty towns. We have other things that the concentration of wealth in some of the city, basically just one city, that is the biggest one, that concentrates the big universities, the health system. And most others are smaller and less than 40,000. And here is Antofagasta, you can see is a much less developed country, even is the city that is closest to the copper mines, so it should have like all the reason to have a much more development, but basically all the money from the mining and all goes to Santiago. Then you have other inequalities. There you have Araucanía. This is the poorest region in Chile, and you have the city of Temuco, where you have a lot of the native Chilean population, the Mapuches, and it's the poorest region, and you can see a lot of that, and likely all our friends that were last year, they could see these things. So the economy has boosted the technological sector in Chile, and actually also the production of e-waste. We have 9.9 kilograms per capita. That put us as the largest producer of e-waste in Latin America. You know, since till 2015, e-waste was part of the hazardous waste legislation, and from 2016 was incorporated in the extended producer responsibility law. So the big question that was surrounded about all this is like, how is e-waste recycling looking in a higher income economy as Chile, you know, having all the complexities that I kind of briefly sketch. It could be like kind of like the waste in a developed country like United States or Europe, or could be like more similar like Ghana or Thailand, or it could happen in both, as we have like all these inequalities. So on this frame, we were approached by our friends of Michigan, you know, like last year I get this email from Rick that changed our lives forever, you know, and to participate in this study of identifying comprehensive solutions. Yes, that involve also our friends of Thailand and Ghana, I think, or just Thailand, yes. And here I will give, so I will tell the story of what we did in Chile, but here we have Dani Pinto, that was our field marshal in our field work that we did in Chile, so I think that she can tell you much better than me about this, please.
Can you hear me? Okay, so our overall objective in this big project is to identify occupational and environmental health hazards associated with e-waste recycling in Chile and scope possible solutions. But our specific objective in this project in specific is to characterize socio-demographic work-related factors and health characteristics in a group of recyclers in Chile. This is a cross-sectional study. We aim to compare the realities of informal workers in two cities, Santiago, the big centralized capital, as Pablo said, and Temuco, which is a small city in the south of Chile, with the reality of the formal workers in an established recycling plant. So we applied a set of measurements to the workers, and also key informant interviews were set and done. What was our strategy? We did a kind of a detective work. We searched participants in many suspected places, such as public fairs, flea markets, collection sites, and other kinds of places that we previously identified. And also, at the same time, we connected with established recycling companies until one of them agreed to participate. In total, we invited 190 people to participate. I'm sorry. Oh, it's kind of icy. Can you hear me? Yeah. So these pictures are from our work to the recruitment. We have two repair shops. We have the established recycling company, and we have one of the researchers. So our study was centered in two cities, Santiago and Temuco, as I said before. In Santiago, in Santiago, we scope our participants in 4 places: Peñalolén, Peñaflor, Maipú, and Persa Biobío, with people in Peñalolén, Peñaflor, and Maipú being mostly recyclers, and people in the center, we can see in Persa Biobío, being mostly repairers. And in Temuco, we look in 3 places: Feria Pinto, Parque Corcolén, and Emaus. In Emaus and Feria Pinto, we found mostly repairers, and in Corcolén Park, we found recyclers. So among other things, we assessed health problems to these workers. And these pictures are of the recruitment process. We can see the laboratory test, the pulmonary functions, the survey, and others. In this case, we will focus on the surveys. The survey is centered in 3 levels: sociodemographic, occupational, and health, both occupational and general. Our results is from the 190 people invited, 44 were accepted from Santiago, 25 from Temuco, and 15 from the recycling company. In total, we have 94 workers recruited, with 93 questionnaires and 94 health assessments. So how is our people? Our workers are mostly male, aged around 45 and 50 years old, married, and with a medium educational level. Their main source of income is e-waste, and their monthly income is around $500, which is above or about the minimum salary in Chile, which is $445 a month. And we didn't find differences between formal and informal workers. About the work history, we can see that they have been working in e-waste for a lot of time, about 12 years, and most of their daily time is used in e-waste working. Also, in informals, we can see that formal workers are mostly recyclers, and in informals, we can see that they are multitasking. They can do 2 or more roles at the same time. So in these pictures, we can see one of our recyclers. He repairs, he can sell raw materials, and also he can sell the complete product. We can see collectors, repair shops, and they can also sell raw materials, and scrap dealers we can also dismantle. What happened? No. I think this is not the no, something happened.
Could you go back to the presentation that was uploaded?
Yeah, this is not the last one. This is an older one.
The one you sent previously? Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No problem. Yeah, so.
Have
Here, I'll let you keep
Thank
going.
you, thank
You know
you.
where to stop.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. This is the one. Now, about health, our participants have a positive perspective, being thinking that their overall health being good or very good. From the 10 symptoms assessed, like headache, heart beating abnormally, or breathing problems, they're not reported frequently. And from chronic diseases, the most frequently reported were high blood pressure and diabetes, which are in frequencies similar to the normal Chilean population. And we didn't find differences between formal and informal workers. Now, about the stressors, we found that they are not being exposed to high levels of stress. For example, we can see that only 13% of the people felt unable to control important things in their lives. And also, no differences were found between formals and informals. About noise exposures, and this is important, we found that they have been very often exposed to loud noise at work for a number of years, approximately 9 years, and 28% of the population interviewed experiences difficulty with hearing. And we found that in informal workers, there was more noise exposure. Finally, about injuries, we found that the most common reported were cuts, lacerations, and contusions, being mostly in hands. And again, informals were most reported. In conclusion, we can see that we didn't find major or more important self-reported health issues, and no major differences were found among informals, except for noise and injuries. And our projections are to compare this reality with other countries, such as Ghana and Thailand, and to analyze other health outcomes that we will collect. This is our team that we work in Chile, and this is a photo of the team in Temuco. And thank you for your attention.
Great, thank you so much, Pablo and Danny. So we have 5 minutes for questions, if anyone has questions. And before we take questions, I just want to say how phenomenal it is that we can all be here talking in a common language. So I've now tried to do e-waste work in 4 different countries, and I can barely master English. So for you to come here and give a talk outside of your native language is truly amazing. That goes for all of our speakers, I think. So questions for Pablo and Danny about the situation in Chile? Sure.
No major difference. In injuries, we can see we found that there were more quantity, more number of injuries in the past 6 months than in the formal context. We found among 5 injuries in the informal and less than 1 in formal ones.
So we didn't want to put all the data to bore everybody, but it's kind of like we're writing a paper about all this, and we have the tables of comparison with the statistics to compare. So basically, there are many of these that are statistically significant between the formals and informals. No more questions.
We have a question back.
Yes.
Thank you for your talk. I wondered, were you able to tell what were the factors that determined whether or not a site predominantly recycled versus repairing products? Was it the type of products that they were processing or the skill level of the workers, or what determined whether or not they tried to extract metals versus repair the products?
Maybe if we can repeat the question too. So I'll repeat the question for those of you online. So I think the question is, could we identify any factors as to why people were opting to recycle versus repair? Is that accurate, Dan? You're welcome to speak back too. Yeah.
The factors?
The factors that would lead someone to recycle or repair.
I think it's most about income. Most of our repairers said that they can earn more money for repairing than for sell the electronic products by raw material. So that's the determinant part. That would be.
Definitely had more, like, everyone knew that you could make more money repairing, but there was availability of things to be able to repair. So you had to have people, most of them were bringing stuff to you and you were repairing them. And then also the people that we met had a bit more education level, I think. At least the people that we saw that had repair shops.
Yeah.
So those were 2 other differences.
Great. Tom and then Julius. Tom.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. Tom Robbins, professor of environmental health sciences here. I'm wondering, maybe I missed it, but did you present, or have you analyzed the data on your actual pulmonary function testing and possibly mental thyroid function? What kinds of results did you get with that barometers, especially?
Well, there were like a lot of data that was collected that including lung function, blood samples, and you can see, but a hearing test, formal hearing test, but it's on the way. basically we just analyze the self-reported questionnaire we have done so far.
So I just wanted this just a comment or like it's like contribution to your response to the last question. Actually, in Ghana, what determines what a decision to either repair or recycle actually depends on the state of the equipment. And the recyclers have very, very experienced perspective as to what should go into the recycling bin or what should be repaired. So it depends on the state of the equipment that we have in hand.
So I think we've had a great comment here that in Ghana, the decision, to come back to Dan's question about recycling versus repair, often comes down to the raw state of the equipment, basically. And the recyclers are quite skilled at looking at something and quickly determining that's not worth my time, or gosh, I think I could make more money repairing this. So education and training are clearly key pieces here, but you have to have repairable equipment as well.
And maybe,
Gloria, please.
maybe the place in Chile that are more rural usually repair more things than in the central of the city.
Yeah, that's the case of the Buco.
Yeah. So again, just to repeat so everyone can hear, so the availability of equipment can also depend greatly on your location. If you're in the heart of a megalopolis like Santiago or out in a more rural setting, the equipment you have that's coming in, the waste is going to be quite different potentially. All right, I think we are out of time. Is that? We have 5 minutes. Okay. Any more questions? These are great. Yes, please, Violetta.
Authorities in your research, policymakers, do you have any observations of their capabilities calculating waste generated in Chile?
What?
If you could repeat your question.
She's asking about if we involve policymakers or authorities in our investigations. And yes, we involved some of the government, some of people involved in REP law, in the extended producer responsibility law, and one of our team will talk about this later.
I'm not sure if this is a question or a comment, but I just wondered, you've essentially got an input and you're trying to extract from the ground of it. There are all these huge companies in Chile that are doing that from the ground. Is there any interest from those companies in trying to do this from the e-waste?
Well, what I can comment is that it's funny that we are copper producers, but actually, like when the copper, the price of the copper goes up, like kind of recycling goes up too. Even people start stealing the copper wires in the street, And then you can see a lot of people, like signs. You go kind of like to the poorer neighborhoods, and you can see signs, "I buy copper," and they are buying copper that is being stolen from the copper wires on the streets. Yes.
Imports of second-hand electronics into Chile? Second-hand?
I don't know. I don't
repeat the question.
Yeah, the question is, we have importation of second-hand e-waste, and I really don't know. Like I have seen like papers that they put like there is a route to Chile, but I don't know where that comes from. Do you know more? Or?
Well, so in fact, the map that I showed earlier of the global movement of e-waste, many of these similar maps do have a line from the U.S. and in some cases from Europe to Chile. So at least somebody thinks this is happening, but I think what we experienced was
we can tell the experience. I mean, when we get the call from Rick, we started like calling all our friends that were in the government and other places, like saying, okay, are there any e-waste in Chile? And actually, the answer for the government of the people that we know, like in the environmental ministry, is that there was not. And it was a long time that we thought that, oh, Rick is not going to have a study. And then when we started like doing the detective work, we started like seeing that there was a lot of e-waste happening, and a lot of, as kind of like at the smallest scale that we're seeing, that is kind of like the waste is doing a loop inside Chile. And the other thing that was new, I mean, there were two things that were new for us. The first of all is like there was a lot of repairing. And the other is that the people actually, like, they were making a decent living. I mean, you can see like even the income, some of the people working in e-waste can make an income that is kind of a medium, even medium high for Chile. That was very surprising. I mean, we thought that we were going to be like a survival economy, and it was like much better than that.
Right, and I think we have a follow-up comment.
Especially people repairing, they can make.
Sorry. We're working on our microphone etiquette up here. Luca has a comment as well.
Yes, we did have some exportation in mobiles, and exportation in mobile, second hand. And we don't know the volume because it's very close, the recollection of this kind of, they're the same, ¿cómo se dice? Los mismos productores, la misma agencia. Sí, the same producers, they collect. So, in a close way, so we don't know the volumes, but they export to Bolivia, to whatever. So yes, they export.
Yeah, so clearly it's not a simple scenario where there might be importation and exportation happening, and the complexity of this scenario is the whole reason for us to be here today. I think we need to move on. I want to give another round of applause to